Welcome, everybody. This is another session, and I'm very excited to be with you. I'm very excited to just share what is important, and of course, sharing about perspective of A Course in Miracles and how we can implement all that knowledge in our healing practice, how we can be more helpful to other people, and how can we be more precise and better healers, and what actually is Course in Miracles teaching us how about healing, and what is the most important topics that we should cover to understand healing according to A Course in Miracles. So we're gonna read today from teacher's part, and it's section 6, is healing certain? We're gonna start and just contemplate and think about some issues and think about some very important parts of this beautiful text. So let's start. Healing is always certain. It is impossible to let illusions be brought to truth and keep the illusions. So once you are totally devoted to illusions, to a truth, once you're totally feel the presence of God, once you feel the beauty of His love and the beauty of His peace, which is not of this world, there's no possibilities that you will believe in illusions. All amazing things in this world, like having the most beautiful things, the most happy things in this world, is nothing according to feeling of the truth and being with God and being in the presence of God. This is the most important and most beautiful desire that we can have. It's a desire to be with God. So when we brought illusions, once we finally feel the truth, and the text is very, very, very precious and very, very important. Brought to truth means we finally are connected to our truth. We finally are connected to God. And in that position, illusions are totally impossible to stay. Truth demonstrates illusions have no value. Only in that position, in everyday contact with God, speaking to God, being presence of God, we can see that illusions have no value. We cannot do it by rational thinking, reading a book, listening spiritual teachings. We can only see that, feel that when we feel the truth, when we feel the God, feel the Holy Spirit, our biggest teacher. So only in that situation, illusions have no value. Please don't look at illusions and say, this does not exist. It's not impossible. When somebody is sick, he's sick in a physical, material world. It does not matter. In spiritual world, in truth, in connection with God, very important, this is not value. This is not power. And most importantly, it does not have any effects. The teacher of God has seen the correction of his errors in the mind of the patient, recognizing it for what it is. So, it's very important because we finally see that we can only when we are in truth, only when we are in connection with God, only when we are talking to God, we can see errors and know what it is. In physical realm, all errors are real. In spiritual realm, all errors are just illusions. And there's no other way of looking at it. Having accepted the atonement for himself, he has also accepted it for patient. This is also very important. I just want to, having accepted the atonement for himself, he also accepted it for the patient, which means our only responsibility is to accept atonement, to accept return to God, to become a son of God. This is the only responsibility, and our only function here is, of course, to be with God. Our only function is salvation. Our only function is to be a light of the world, which means that we recognize the errors of the mind of the patient and accept it and understand what actually it is. Yet, what if the patient uses sickness as a way of life, believing healing is the way to death? When this is so, a sudden healing might precipitate intense depression and a sense of loss so deep that the patient might even try to destroy himself. So it's a very important question. If the patient is using sickness as a way of life, healing, meaning giving him a treatment, telling him that it's illusion and there is another realm that he can be very detrimental if the patient is not ready. So we as healers really have to understand that there's never been a situation till now that everybody's ready for healing. And we know that. We just have to be aware that healing is very intense if patient is not ready. It is intense for us also. It was intense and it can be intense. So we have to be ready for that. Having nothing to live for, which is material world, ego world, he may ask for that. Healing must wait and must wait for his protection. So it's very difficult and it's almost impossible when somebody is sick to tell him that this is not true. This is an illusion. It's difficult when somebody don't have a job to say this is an illusion. It's difficult when somebody is not in a relationship to say this is not important, it's an illusion. And we see in a lot of parts of Course in Miracles how intense connection with truth and um, fear of letting go, fear of atonement, because we think that we're going to lose everything. This is definitely one of the feelings when we say, um, I want to be alone with God. There's nothing in this world that I want except to know God and to be with God. It's not easy. And the Holy Spirit is our teacher, and the Holy Spirit will tell us and show us what we have to do. But the willingness, the little willingness, as we learn in a course, is needed from us. Everything else is done by the Holy Spirit, which means is added, like it said in Bible. So it's very important to remember that we just really have to want and desire God and want to be in contact with Him, and the Holy Spirit will do everything and help us in all ways possible. But we have to remember that it's not easy. We have to remember that it can sometimes be difficult, and it can be a lot of fear about that, misunderstanding. Everybody's happy, everybody's, especially when people, enlightened people, are happy, peaceful, and I'm not. What's going on? But we have a Holy Spirit, and there is a way how we can be in touch with Him, with the Holy Spirit, and how we can be in touch with our Helper, who really wants us to succeed in this process of connecting with God. Healing will always stand aside when it would be seen as threat. So there's you can so forget about your mistakes, forget about you're not effective, forget about you need to do more. If you're with God, if you know about the truth, healing can wait because it's a protection, and healing can stand aside for that. The instant it is welcome, it is there. As I said, the most important thing is willingness. A little willingness, we know about it. And the instant that we want it, it's welcome. The instant that we just want healing, welcome healing, it is there. Where healing has been given, it will be received. And what is time before the gifts of God? So we're actually talking about there is no correlation between giving and receiving. It's actually in spiritual world, it's all the same. We have referred many times in the text to the storehouse of treasures laid up equally for the giver and the receiver of God's gifts. Not one is lost, for they can but increase. So when you give, you don't lose. So giving and receiving is actually the same process. It's a giving for the sake of receiving. Meaning, as much as I give, I don't lose anything. And, peace if I cannot be lost, if I have God's peace. If I have peace because I'm healthy, wealthy, and I'm okay with that, I can lose it. If I share my wealth, the peace can narrow. But if I'm with God and I have that God's peace, and my function is to share that peace in the process of healing, in the process of helping others, of course, there's no loss because giver and receiver and The giving and receiving is the same. No teacher of God should feel disappointed if he has offered healing and it does not appear to have been received. Again, healing sometimes have to wait. Not everybody is ready to receive it. It is not up to him to judge when his gifts should be accepted. And please, this is a very important sentence. It is not up to him to judge when his gift should be accepted. Meaning you don't have to worry and to take on your mind if you're just doing something wrong or you should change something. No, it's not your job. Your job is only atonement. Your job is only to return and be with God and wait in silence and wait and stand out and let the Holy Spirit do his job. So it's not up to you because the ego will always say it's up to me. Ego will say you you are not enough. You did something wrong. You have to practice. You have to do it more. Ego can be very harsh. And once we realize when the truth, and once we realize that we are with God, it's very important to remember that it's not up to us to judge when our gifts should be accepted. Let him be certain it has been received and trust that it will be accepted when it is recognized as a blessing and not a curse. So it's not easy to understand that something we are sharing, it's a blessing. Sometimes people are very afraid of healing. They're afraid of changing everything. And we know that people just stay in the physical world. People stay in their carnal mind, in their hypnosis, in metrics. You can call it whatever you want. It's not easy, and healing comes only when you're ready. So your job is not to think about it. Your job is not to judge yourself. Okay, let's go. Next section. It is not the function of God teachers to evaluate the outcome of their gifts. This is also a very important section. And just let be a little bit with this. This is very important. It's not our function to evaluate the outcome of our gifts. What does it mean? Your job is only to share what you receive. If you're with God, you receive peace. If you're with God, you receive happiness. If you're with God, you receive joy. And you share it. You give it to another. But this is very important to remember. You don't know where your gifts are going to be distributed. You don't know where it's going to go. You just don't know. You want to give somebody something? We said yesterday, it's not up to us. I invite the guest, meaning I step aside, I'm in silence. Holy Spirit is here, He can do a job for me. I'm doing a job for Him, and through me, everything is happening. I'm just a vessel. I'm just a way how He can manifest itself. So it really does not matter because in my ego, way I really care, what will I do? I will help people, but actually, I'm not helping. I and my Father are one, and I on my own can do nothing. This is very important to say again. I on my own can do nothing. This is Christ consciousness. This is fourth dimensional consciousness. It is merely their function to give them, to give the gifts. If you are the person that I will help, I can give you. Maybe it's another person, I don't know. I can help. Maybe I don't know who I'm helping. It is also very important. Once they have done that, they have also given the outcome, for that is a part of the gift. No one can give if he is concerned with the result of giving. Very important healing lesson. No one can give if he is concerned with the result of giving. A Course in Miracles is very specific. It's not up to you. Forget about outcome. Forget about what's going to happen. Just focus on your main desire. You don't even you just don't know what the problem is. You don't see errors. You don't recognize them in truth. Like we said in the beginning, you don't see it. There's no power in error. There's no power in mistakes. There's no power in evil. There's no power in disease, in poverty. There's no power in that. And that's the truth. And that's what's happening actually. That's what you have to remember. There's no power in that. That is a limitation on the giving itself. And neither the giver nor the receiver would have the gift. So, again, it's not up to us. Trust is an essential part of giving. In fact, it is the part that makes sharing possible, the part that guarantees the giver will not lose, but only gain. So, what is it? Trust. We learn it in development of trust, and we're gonna read it next time probably. We learn how it's a very, very complex, and actually it's not, but sometimes it can be like that. But only when we trust, when we know the truth, when we are one with God, we understand giving is not losing. In physical world, you in any way that you're giving, you're losing something. You're losing your time, you're losing your energy, you're losing. And that's why you take money, and that's why you organize yourself, whatever. In the spiritual world, you don't lose anything. You're one with God. He's doing all the job. You're just a vessel for healing, and you just receive peace. And this peace can be shared, and you don't lose anything. This is one amazing, this is the perfect situation, especially for healers. Who gives a gift and then remains with it to be sure it is used as a giver deems appropriate, such as not giving but imprisoning. It's totally, like I said, ego imprisoning. So we have to be very, very cautious when we're giving and when call something healing. There's a lot to ego healing. Ego can be a healer. Ego wants to help. Ego wants to give, ego wants to be helpful and miraculous. But don't forget that ego loses if it's not give and take. It's not a two-way street. In spiritual with God, it's always one-way street, and it's a flow when you share and you also receive because you share. It's like well of water, well of energy. Just have to share because you want to be in a state of flow all the time. It's not stagnant, it's just flow. Okay, let's go for a fourth section. It is the relinquishing of all concern about the gift that makes it truly given. It is the relinquishing of all concern about the gift that makes it truly given. Again, don't think about who's gonna receive your gift. Is it gonna receive it? Who's gonna accept it? It's not a business. And it is trust that makes trust that makes true giving possible. Trust that everything is done by him and he is the healer. Man cannot be a healer. Healing is the change of mind that the Holy Spirit in the patient's mind is seeking for him. And it is the Holy Spirit in the mind of the giver who gives the gift to him. Again, it is the Holy Spirit in the mind of the giver who gives the gift to him. So, as I said, I, of my own, can do nothing. I will say it again. I, on my own, can do nothing. And it is the Holy Spirit in the mind of the giver who gives the gift to him. How can it be lost? How can it be ineffectual? How can it be wasted? God's treasure house can never be empty. It's endless, infinite treasure of everything. And you can receive everything. Being with God means you have everything. There's no needs, there's no desires, because you have everything. God cannot give you anything. This is very important to understand. Don't ask God for anything. He cannot give you anything. He gave you already. He's everything. Omnipresent, omniscience, omnipowered, omni everything. What else you want from him? Don't ask for anything. And this is a huge topic about prayer because we usually ask for something in prayers. And this is very wrong. Don't ask for anything from God. God already gives everything if you know how to be with him, if you really want to be with him. And his treasure house can never be empty. So you will receive everything. Just want him. Just abide in him and let his word abide in you. We know that. And if one gift is missing, it would be it would not be full. Yet is its fullness guaranteed by God. What concern then can a teacher of God have about what becomes of his gifts? Because everything is here and we have everything. Everything is perfect. Given by God to God. Listen to this. Given by God to God, who in this holy exchange can receive less than everything, given by God to God. I and my Father are one. When we are one with Him, we are one. So we can say, given by God to God. Everything in His treasure He wants to share with us. He wants to give everything to us. And He always reminds us about that. We only have to be silent. We only have to let the Holy Spirit teaches us. And we're gonna receive everything. And when we have everything flawless and without any chance to lose it, we share. And when we share, we just give everything. And we don't care if anyone gonna receive it. And we don't care who's gonna receive it. We don't care what's gonna happen because we don't do anything. The Holy Spirit is doing everything. God is doing everything. He's the healer. We're just vessels. And we just share. This is totally normal, totally efficient and beautiful and perfect. Okay, healers, okay, my friends, see you tomorrow. You have a link if you can discuss A Course in Miracles together. You have a link in the description of the video. And of course, every day we read, we meditate, we talk about healing, we talk about our function as a miracle worker, as a teacher, and there's a lot of things we're going to do in our community. See you tomorrow. Thank you for being today here.